All right, hello, welcome to your restorative practice. Today we're going to work pretty deeply into the hips and when I say hips, I mean like the whole hip joint. It's not just like the outer hip or inner hip, front of the hip, back of the hip, the whole circumference of the hips, which clearly is connected to our pelvis, our lower legs. Pelvis is connected to the spine. So all of that work goes a long way in your whole body's experience. And today you'll need at least, I'd grab a couch cushion if you have one that you regularly use for your practice. Or a pillow or a couple of pillows. If your pillows tend to be really squishy, maybe grab two so that they give you some height and some depth. Of course, if you do have something like a bolster at home, if you have an actual bolster, feel free to use that and have that somewhere close by. And same goes for blocks and blankets and all of the comfy cozies that come with a restorative practice. So we're going to progress through one side of the body, find neutral, and then move through the second side of the body, find neutral. So just to kind of warm up the hips a little bit before we head into our first long hold, I want you to bring your right foot forward and go ahead and pad that left knee if you're on a hard surface. And then you can, what I do is I like to take something underneath my hands so the floor is just a little bit easier to reach. Could be that cushion, could be a chair, stool, could be books. So right foot is forward and it's wide. Both my hands are inside of that foot. And I'm just gonna kind of roll around a little bit. So I'm kind of like rolling to the inner and outer edge of my front foot, kind of moving around in my hips, noticing where I'm feeling sticky. And so this movement, it can be big, it can be small, and if you want, you could actually pull all the way back towards a half split, Ardha Hanuman, and then forward to that low lunge. Let's take a few more breaths here. If you are pulling your hips back and coming into that half split, you could pause there for a moment, full breath cycle. Get some feedback from your body. And then we'll rebend that right knee if you had straightened it out. We're going to set up a variation of pigeon, and I'm going to give you a couple of options like you usually do, because pigeon can be hard on the knees if you have knee injuries or less flexibility in the knee. I want you to support your body appropriately. So right foot's going to walk across the mat. I'm going to come to the left side of the mat. And then before you set your outer right hip down, here's one option. I'm sliding that long pillow, that couch cushion, a couple of pillows underneath my right thigh. And then I'm going to shift forward a little bit so that I can set my outer right hip onto this cushion. So it's bisecting me from the spine, right? So I'm sitting on it. Now you can see here my back knee is bent, and you can take these two 90-degree angle shapes and keep that, and then lean forward from there into that pigeon shape. That might be as far as you go. If it's wise to do so, if your back knee allows it, if your front knee allows it, you can roll to the top of your left thigh and lengthen that left leg behind you. Now, before you get too excited and you fold over the leg and you just kind of collapse into this shape, can you come up to your fingertips? You can again use that chair in front of you or stool in front of you if you find it helpful. So much going on in this shape right now. A little bit of a back bend happening in the lumbar spine, external rotation on this right hip, internal rotation on this left hip. It's a lot happening in the body. So if it feels challenging for you, just honoring that you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot of your body. Let's take one more breath here, upright. And then if it feels good to you, you can fold into this a little bit more. And gathering props underneath the chest is always welcome. I like to use what maybe for you at home would be a hardback book or 2 or 3 underneath my sternum and my forehead. You could look for something a little bit softer too, like pillows. Make sure you have the right height for your body. There's no one right height for everybody. There's only one right height for you, and you have to sense that. You have to explore that and find that in your body. Set us a timer here. So however far you've come into this shape, start to acknowledge the breath. Notice the breath. And can you start to deepen the breath? One thing I will say is that when we prop the hips like this in pigeon, it can intensify the sensation. It can help, propping your body can also help, but can also intensify. So if the propping is too much for you, feel free to get rid of it. Just remember that these things that I offer you are just suggestions, they're not mandates. Can you relax your shoulders? Can you relax your elbows and your wrists? Can you relax your fingertips? Take one more breath here. And then we'll start to, if you came down into this fold over that front leg, start to press your way back up. Take your time with that. Okay, so listening for the change, we're going to roll a little bit more of our weight to that right hip so that you can free your left leg and swing it all the way forward. If you're on that prop, I'd suggest that you stay. And if you took the prop away, I'd suggest that you add it underneath the sits bone so that you're seated on your prop. Okay, this right leg, it can stay bent, and the left foot's going to cross over top of the right knee. So if you can see me here, my left foot's planted on the mat over top of my right knee. And then I'm going to kind of make sure that I'm equally weighted through my sits bones. I'm going to reach up with my right hand. Deep breath in here. Right hand reaches up. And then exhale, rotating towards my left hip. I'm just going to hug my outer thigh with my right hand. Left hand might come behind me like a little kickstand. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Maybe look over your left shoulder if that feels okay on the neck. We're not going to be here for too long. We're just finding a bit of a counter rotation after our pigeon shape. So you're going to notice maybe some sensation in the low back, maybe in the glutes. And again, all that's connected to the spine. So notice in your body where you're feeling, what you're feeling. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Okay, we're going to slowly start to unwind. Turn the torso to face forward. Let's extend both legs out long in front of us. And again, I recommend staying on top of your seat, on top of your prop. As you extend the legs forward, it might be that legs straight causes your back to round. So if that's happening, a little bit more height underneath the sits bones and a little bend to those knees. Let's actually all bend our knees together. We'll start out here. So bend your knees a lot, press into your heel bones, and then from your waist, hinge forward, lay your belly onto your thighs. So knees are bent to start. Please keep that. Now, knees bent, belly to thighs, reaching down towards the feet. Maybe the hands catch a hold of the feet. And from there, with the belly on the thighs, you can start to kind of wiggle the feet forward. Now your hamstrings, your low back, that's going to all talk to you a lot. You can start to draw the chin in and let the head be heavy. Legs are only going as straight as you can while maintaining that contact with belly to thighs. And if you have extra props, you can slide something underneath the backs of the knees so that you can really relax there. I'm going to set us a timer. We'll be here for 1 minute. Feel free to add props, take away props. I'm feeling like I need more underneath the backs of my knees. Really utilize the breath. Soften the back of the neck. Soften the throat. Soften the jaw. Take 1 more breath here. You start to release your hands if you're holding onto your legs and walk the hands up back alongside the sits bones and press the hands down next to the hips. Inhale, lift the heart. Maybe you open the throat. And then exhale, relax that. We're going to come back to a tabletop. Well, actually, let's just move on to our second side so we have a nice amount of time for Shavasana. Okay, so if props are in your way, going to move them off to the side for a few moments. We're going to step this left foot forward. Step that left foot forward and wide. Have space for both of your hands inside of that front foot. Right knee can be on the mat. We're just going to move around a little bit here, like you're drawing circles. And roll around the whole sole of that left foot. Be prepared for this side to be completely different experience and let that be okay. It's okay. There's so much asymmetry in the body, and this is really normal. If you're pulling your hips back towards that Ardha Hanuman, feel free to pause there and breathe in with that left leg straight. And then when that feels complete, rebend that left knee, pull the hips forward. Okay, so now we're going to slide our prop underneath that left thigh, bisecting the hips. We're going to shift this left foot across the mat, wiggle that left foot across the mat towards the right side of your mat. And then lower that left outer hip glute onto your prop. Take your time to adjust that and then sit up here, keeping that right knee bent. If that serves you, might feel a little bit unbalanced and a little bit awkward. That's normal. If it's okay on the knee joints, on the hip joints, you can wiggle that right leg out until it's in a stretched out position, until it's stretched out long. And the attempt here, or the action here, is to roll to the top of that right thigh. And then again, wherever you are, see if you can bring the hands forward a little bit, come onto the fingertips or slide a prop underneath the hands to give yourself a little bit more length. We're going to take a few moments in this upright position. The tendency is to really want to quickly sink into your pigeon and find that relaxation, and I get it. See if you can stay with me for a few more breaths. All right, so now if we're going to forward fold, and certainly you don't have to if you're liking that upright shape, I recommend propping yourself appropriately. Maybe it's the stool in front of you, or books, or cushions underneath the sternum and the forehead. You can start to settle into whatever is going to work and serve you in this pigeon shape. So when we work with the hips, and if they're really tight, or even they don't have to be really tight, but if they're tight at all and you're not used to this kind of work, it's really normal for the body to want to kind of disassociate from that sensation. And so what that does oftentimes is move the tension up to the neck and the jaw. And it's like moving the awareness out of the hip where the sensation is. So not forcing yourself to stay in something that's really uncomfortable and causing tension, but rather noticing where the tension moves in the body. And if it's up in the neck, shoulders, and jaw, can you relax and soften there? Can you breathe? Take one more breath here in our current shape. And then we'll start to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, especially if you're in that fold. Start to lift up. We're going to start to shift more weight onto that left hip so that we can release the right leg forward. And so the left knee stays bent as it is. If you can, sole of the right foot crosses over top of the left leg and it plants on the mat. Okay, so start to find both sits bones equally on your cushion. We're going to lift that left arm straight up towards the ceiling, rotating the belly towards the inner right thigh. And then you can just give your leg a little hug with that left hand. Right fingertips can come behind you like a little kickstand. You relax your shoulders, broaden across the chest. Maybe even look over the right shoulder, only if it serves your neck. Just a few more breath cycles here. So part of the reason why we're taking this twist in between our pigeon and our forward fold is we're prepping our QL muscles, our low back muscles, to come into a forward fold. Take one more breath. And then start to unwind, facing the chest forward. Now this time, I want to offer a different setup. Maybe you slide some props right underneath the backs of the knees. And then depending on what your props are, if you have an extra blanket, like say you have a pillow underneath the backs of your knees, you could fold up an extra blanket, place that on top, give yourself a little bit more height and support. And then keeping the knees bent at first here, remember, we're hinging forward from the hip flexors, belly to thighs. Knees are really bent. Knees are really bent. Arms can reach forward. Maybe you hook the outer edges of the feet. You can soften your chin into your chest. And this might be where you stay in your forward fold. If there is space, you can start to lengthen out through the legs. Belly stays on the thighs the whole way as you come into your depth. So your legs might not get straight today, and that's okay. Can you be okay with that? Take one more breath. If your hands are holding onto your legs, release that. Walk the hands back up until they come to just framing out the hips. Press down through the hands. Press the chest forward, maybe even open the throat. You could lift the chin if you like. And then exhale, relax. So here's what I'd offer for Shavasana. If you want, This prop underneath the sits bones can be removed. You already maybe have a prop underneath the backs of the knees. I recommend keeping that. So as you come down to your back, the low back can be nice and long with the support underneath the backs of the knees. Shrugging the shoulders underneath the back body, tilting the chin slightly in towards the chest. Perhaps placing one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. Letting yourself arrive here. Deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. If you feel comfortable closing the eyes, please do so. Softening the flesh around the eyes. Let go of any gripping in the jaw. Feel the whole back body release into whatever you're laying on. The whole front body softening into the whole back body. If you'd like to stay longer in Shavasana, please feel free. If you'd like to join me in an upright seat for final pranayama and meditation, begin to awaken the body. Take your time with this. When you're ready, making your way to that upright seat. Sit however you're comfortable. It doesn't have to look a particular way. If you like, Jnana Mudra, index finger and thumbs touching, palms facing down, shoulders shift over hips, ears shift over shoulders, eyes close or gaze softens. 4 rounds of pranayama, breathing for a 4 count inhale, a 3 count hold, a 7 count exhale. Preparing for this by a neutral breath in through the nose. Breath out. Begin. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue. Last round on your own. The bottom of your exhalation, let go of any counting. Let your breath return to neutral. Next breath in, joining the hands together at the heart. Breathing out, bow the chin into the chest. Taking a moment to honor your effort and your practice with reverence and gratitude. May you remember that you will always be okay. May you find a light that guides you and keeps you safe. May you have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone, thank you for joining me today. Such an honor and a pleasure to share this practice with you. And I hope you come back again soon. Take care.